We have college football week 7. Yeah, we're already at the week 7 mark. It's absolutely crazy. And we're going to talk about it today. For some of you who's like, hey, it looks like this is on your Clemson channel. Some of you are like, maybe you're watching my new channel, another college football podcast. I'm simulcasting on both channels right now because, hey, I want everyone to know what I'm doing on the other channel. And for my Clemson fans who are like, hey, I'm just going to click out real quick, I just want to pause and just challenge you here. You need to know as much as you possibly can. Well, I say an overview of college football and what's actually going on with other football teams, because when you do that, just get an idea of it. You don't have to be a fan of another team. But when you get that in your head, you get into your head what other teams are doing, it makes you look at Clemson a little different. You're going to see some things. You're going to see some cracks in the hull of the ship, so to speak, that maybe at other times, well, you may overlook. And so I think it could be really good. Check that out. Also, if you love college football, I hope you'll go to the link below the video. Subscribe. It is free. Yeah, free. So what are you waiting for? If you haven't subscribed to my Clemson channel, hope you'll subscribe there as well. It's free, and I do appreciate it. So for my Clemson fans, this past weekend, Clemson beat North Carolina. They're 2-3, beat a bad football team. And you have Boston College coming up for this week 7 matchup. And who knew that by week 7, good grief, by week 5, we would be deflated. But in the grand scale of college football, there's 2 teams right now that were in the top 5, respectfully, I believe number 1 and number 2, give or take the order, that are no longer in the top 25, and that's Penn State and Texas. Now, Penn State lost 2 games in a row, but that they lost to an 0-4 UCLA team, that did a lot. That did a lot to the perception of their team. And I'm shocked that it came 2 weeks in a row. I expected Penn State to at least lose 1 ball game. I haven't been buying into their team. And I just simply said, show me that you're different. And they lost 2 games in a row. The big one, the unforgivable one, is to UCLA with a guy who just found out, I think he said they had 2 days to practice the new game plan, went out and beat Penn State. Yeah, Jerry Neuheisel. That's what he did. 33-year-old Jerry Neuheisel. Then you have Texas falling out of the top 25 after losing to a Florida team that, it's just nuts. It's just absolutely crazy. Before I dive into the schedules, say hello, Kane Sisk. Good to see you. John, it's good to see you, my friend. Chase B, been hearing it for a while now. But may there to you, my friend. Wrestler Weekly became a member. Thank you so much for supporting on a monthly channel, my friend, or monthly basis. I really do appreciate that. And if you want to do that, folks, I made it really affordable, $3 or $5 per month. The link is, or it's not a link, it's actually a button below the video. So if you want to do that, join Wrestler Weekly. I hope you'll do that. Wrestler Weekly, thank you for that. Where's the bug? Where's the bug? Where's bug? I don't know what you're talking about. You got me. Franklin on the hot seat now, John Answer said. All right, so let's dive into the schedule. We're going to talk about some of the all of the important games. We're also going to talk about the unimportant games, and I'm going to be flying through this, okay? Now, first off, Friday night, we have a top 25 matchup between South Florida. He's 4-1 right now, going into North Texas. They're 5-0. Believe it or not, North Texas is a 1.5-point favorite going into this game. And for me, that says a lot about their team, how they've quietly got to 5-0. South Florida, they beat the crap out of Boise State. They did lose to Miami, but Miami's looking pretty solid right now. I'm pumping the brakes on calling Miami back. I'm not going to say that, but I really believe that Miami is across the board. I know they had Cam Ward last year, but across the board, they look pretty strong. So, South Florida with that win that against all the teams and only losing to Miami, a lot of people can forgive that. Now, North Texas, I'm going to tell you, I don't know a ton about them. Here's what I do know, is that South Florida, going into Denton, only being a 1.5-point underdog, I see South Florida winning this ball game. I think they have the coaching to do it. Let's talk about Let's talk about this coming Saturday. 12 o'clock on Fox, you have Ohio State traveling to Champaign, Illinois, to play the number 17 Illinois Fighting Illini. Listen to me here. Illinois lost one ball game. They didn't lose it. They got drugged. They got the color beat out of their jersey. And Bielema has done a solid job there. It's not an easy place to coach. Luke Altmaier's passed for 1,573 yards and 12 touchdowns. Ohio State's a 14.5-point favorite going into this game for a reason. Everyone saw them get drugged by Indiana. Now, there's games that I've seen leading up to this point of the season that we have these types of teams playing. One's like in the top 5 versus a top 20 team. And I've said, hey, I could see that number 17 team beating this top 5 team. But this is not one of those games. I think Ohio State has more than enough talent across the board to go in and cover this 14.5-point spread. Of course, the line's going to move. But I believe Ohio State takes this game because overall they have more of a total package going into this game. I'm not saying in the country. Going into this game, I believe Ohio State has just more power across the board. And I believe they'll take this game against the Fighting Illini. 12 o'clock kickoff, Columbia, Missouri, Alabama, number 8, 4-1, 2-0. Just beat, they're 2-0 in the conference. Just beat Vanderbilt, got some revenge. They're going into Missouri, 5-0, 1-0 in the conference. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. Missouri has quietly walked their way up to number 14 in the country. And Drinkwitz can coach. Now, we do need to step back and ask, who have they played? Central Arkansas, Kansas, they won by 11 there. Louisiana's terrible. They did beat South Carolina, but South Carolina is not the team they were last year. They lost a lot of players on the defense. In the preseason, I called that out. I said, hey, y'all are losing a lot on the defense, and I was told that I was crazy. Well, come to find out, the vast majority of the time, whoever is coaching for you that or not coaching for you, well, that matters. That does matter. But who's also playing for you and losing a bunch of starters on your defense probably is going to affect you. I heard that somewhere. It's written on a bathroom wall or something. Then you played UMass, beat the crap out of them. Now, what kind of makes me scratch my head is that Alabama is a 2.5-point favorite going into this game. So that line could move. It could mean absolutely nothing. Bama could go in, beat them by 3 touchdowns. But I see Alabama coming into this game probably struggling early on, but I see them taking it. I just don't see Missouri winning this ball game. Like when I looked at Texas and Florida, I could see Florida somehow winning that game. When I looked at Ole Miss and LSU, which that's not even comparing apples to apples. I'm sorry. That was wrong. But seeing Mississippi State play Arizona State earlier this year, I said I could see them winning that game. When I look at Alabama and Missouri, again, I don't see Missouri winning this game. They may play them very, very well. But I see Alabama covering the 2.5 right now, and I see them winning this ball game, giving Missouri their first loss, and Alabama getting win number 5 and going 3-0 in the conference. I just think Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer just has too much going for them right now. I think that Ty Simpson is on a roll, and that is the difference. The guy is just, after that week 1 loss to Florida State, they were embarrassed and people wanted Kalen DeBoer to be fired. Ty Simpson has stepped up 1,478 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's why I believe they'll beat Missouri. 3:30 on CBS. We have Indiana traveling to Oregon. Indiana is 5-0, 2-0 in the conference. Oregon, 5-0, 2-0 in the conference. Oregon's a 7.5-point favorite in this game. What Kirk Cignetti has done at Indiana is impressive. No one has done this well at Indiana ever. Ever. But when you look at the spread at 7.5, in favor of Oregon. You see that Dante Moore is thrown for 1,210 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 1 interception. You step back and you look at how the team looks as a whole and how they buy into Dan Lanning. He knows how to inspire them. He knows how to get them up for the game, right? It is so interesting to me that this guy is just, in fact, this is what I would say. If I were Clemson right now, I would step back and look at Dan Lanning and go, what is he doing out there? In the current college football climate, what is he doing? Sure, he has that Nike money, but that doesn't make him coach better. It gives him more resources, but we've seen people have resources at Oregon before and waste it or not perform. Dan Lanning can coach. And that's the difference in this ball game. I think that he has superior athletes playing for him at Oregon. And this is one of those games that Indiana is going to come in. Maybe they have a couple of good drives, but Oregon is going to outlast them. And I see them covering the 7.5 point. That's what I see at this point. I see Oregon taking this game and improving to 6-0 and truly making a statement that, yes, we are truly a top 5 team. As the season progresses and all these other teams wets the bed, Oregon has proven that, hey, we deserve to be there. We deserve a top 5 ranking versus, oh, we got here based on the logo on the side of our helmet in history, not based on this year. That team is really showing out. 3:30, we have the Red River rivalry. We have Oklahoma and Texas getting together in the Cotton Bowl. Now, this game is interesting for a few different reasons. You have Oklahoma 5-0, 1-0 in the SEC. You have Texas, who dropped all the way from number 9 out of the top 25 after losing to Florida. A lot of people says that was their first real test. Flip over to Oklahoma. Here I am. I'm a Clemson fan, so I love Brent Venables. He has his team rolling, but John Mateer is not playing. He's injured. And I don't think he's going to be playing anytime soon. Yeah, but I mean, I think I think that they are going to roll with Michael Hawkins Jr. I think they have to. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. John Mateer's not going to play in this ball game because of that injury. Now, I'll tell you this. If that guy was playing, and he's not, but if he was, Oklahoma would be the favorite in this game. Coming into this game, Texas is a 2.5 point favorite, which basically means anyone can win. Now, you have Michael Hawkins Jr. No one's really expecting too much from him. Arch Manning has been the one we've been hearing about for years now. Years. And he just suffered a loss, and people are starting to turn on him. And his last name put a burden on his shoulders that most people can't carry. And I said in the preseason that if this guy did not perform perfect, people were going to say he was a bust. At the same time, two things or multiple things can be true at the same time. He needed time to prove that he actually could lead at this level. And so all of this hype around him has worked against him. Again, Texas is a 2.5 point favorite. I'm going to tell you this. I've watched Texas play, and I know this is a big rivalry game, but I just don't buy into them. They lost a lot on the offense, and they had a solid amount of experienced talent returning on the defense. But that hasn't changed too much. The defensive players can't go over. They can't go over and play offense. I mean, they could, but be exhausted. I just have a hard time buying into Texas right now. And if this was not a rivalry, this was just Oklahoma and Texas, you take Red River rivalry at the old Cotton Bowl out of it, I think everyone would look, including Vegas, would look at Oklahoma a little different here, even without John Mateer. I see Oklahoma winning this ball game. There's just something about Texas that I just can't buy into. I just can't buy into it. And I think Arch is having to find his way. And trying to find your way in a rivalry game like this, it never pans out that well. So that's where I'm at this point with that. Get in here and say hello to a few people. We got Chase B, Travis Hammer. It's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for sending over that funny clip. He sent me a hilarious clip of a football team. It was really bad though. Alex Patterson, Christopher Wilson, good to see you. We got Tiger Fan 24. Let me see. Big Load, 3 years at Texas and ain't learned or developed. So a lot of people in here weighing in. Let's get back to it. We have Virginia Tech at Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech's 2-4. They fired their coach. They're 1-1 in the ACC, believe it or not. Playing 5-0 Georgia Tech, 3:30 on the ACC network in Atlanta. Georgia Tech's 14.5-point favorite. We know why. Haynes King, obviously he's the leading passer on the team because he's quarterback and stuff. But he's the leading rusher for the team. 73 carries, 380 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And unless something's happened to Jamal Haynes, and I don't know about it, which is very possible, they have him. And I just see Georgia Tech covering the 14.5 points because Virginia Tech's just not good. Those days of Michael Vick running around, and even later on, the Tyrod Taylor years were good, but they were not the Vick years. Now, a lot of people like to mix that up and stuff. Justin Fuente, I believe he had one good year, right off the top of my head. And if I have to think too hard about it, that means the others that was even close probably were not that good. That's one way to measure it. Georgia Tech, just as a whole, has so much more going for them. Brent Key knows how to coach. He knows how to get what he needs to get out of this team. And folks, I'm just going to tell you straight up, I don't see Virginia Tech standing a chance. So between the Techs, yes, Tech's going to win, but it's going to be Georgia Tech taking this game in Atlanta. 3:30, NC State travels to Notre Dame. 3:30 p.m. Folks, I'm going to tell you this. Notre Dame's a 21.5-point favorite. That sounds about right. NC State, though they're 4-2, I'm really not buying into them. I think that this team is a team that is living just game by game. I really don't see them being dominant. They do have one good win, and that was against Virginia. Since then, they've dropped 2 out of the last 3 games. One of them was to Virginia Tech, 23-21. And then Campbell, they beat 56-10. So, I mean, come on. You're going into Notre Dame, and I'm telling you this. They started off slow against Boise State. The boys from the Blue Field actually gave them a pretty doggone good game. And then the talent gap. And it just opened it up. Notre Dame won 28-7 over Boise State. I see Notre Dame coming in and winning this ball game by 21 points. I can see it right now. It's not unfathomable for me. But I see Notre Dame coming in and just, CJ Carr, the guy looks good. The guy looks good. There's things that he's having to learn because, he is the starter and he has never been the starter at Notre Dame. So, of course, you're going to have moments that, doesn't work in your favor. With that said, I think the guy's doing a really good job. Of course, Jeremiah Love, you have him there. And I just see them winning this ball game pretty handily. Let's go to Arkansas, traveling to Tennessee. This is a very interesting game. Of course, this game's 4:15 on the SEC network, and Tennessee is a 12.5-point favorite. Last year, Arkansas beat Tennessee, one of the few blemishes that they had. And Arkansas, they fired their head coach. They fired Sam Pittman. And now Bobby Petrino is rewinding it at Arkansas. He was the offensive coordinator. Now he's running things. He's the interim head coach. Also, Arkansas is coming off of a bye. So the last game they played was with Sam Pittman. They got the crap beat out of them, 56-13, right off the top of my head, to Notre Dame. Tennessee comes into this game, and it's very interesting because the last game they played was, I believe it was double overtime with Mississippi State. So they're both coming off of a bye. This is a game for me. I look at Tennessee and I go, you can't lose this game, can you? I mean, you're a 12.5-point favorite. You're going to be in Knoxville. Rocky Top's going to be playing every 15 seconds. You can't lose this game, can you? Aguilar overall has done a really good job, 1,459 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And Chris Brazzell is one of the most electrifying, dominant wide receivers in all of college football. 31 receptions, 531, 7 touchdowns. This guy looks NFL ready right now. He's huge too. But you have Arkansas coming in with an interim head coach, no matter who he is, but that really does stir the pot a little bit. And then you're both coming off of a bye. You just scraped by against a much improved Mississippi State team. Folks, if you look at Mississippi State and you see that they lost their last 2 games, sure, Texas A&M kicked them in the head. But they are much improved. They only won 2 games last year. They're at 4-2 right now. Have a better record than my Clemson Tigers. The key to this game is focus for Tennessee. This is not an amazing game. This is a game that Bobby Petrino was set over in the corner, kind of with the lights down low, kind of rubbing his hands going, no one expects me to win this game. So even if they play close with Tennessee and Tennessee wins, people are going to be looking at Tennessee going, what's wrong with you? That's exactly where Bobby Petrino wants them. Tennessee cannot be flat and unfocused in this game, period. Or else Arkansas can do it and would love to do it. Absolutely love to do it. I see Tennessee taking this game. I just think overall they have too much talent, and I think that Heupel is paying attention to this game, especially after last year, and he's not going to take it. He's not going to take it lightly. But I will throw an asterisk beside my own statement. If, small word, massive, life-changing implications. If Tennessee comes in and they are unfocused, I've said this like 3 times now, because it's just something sticking in my head. This is going to have to be a problem that Heupel addresses, because it happens from time to time with them. With all the really good things that Heupel's done, there is a problem with them getting their heads somewhere else when it should be in the game. But I see Tennessee winning the game. We have Florida traveling to Texas A&M, 7 o'clock on ESPN. Texas A&M's a 7.5-point favorite, coming off of an incredible, strong win against a much improved Mississippi State team. Now, A&M's a 7.5-point favorite. They're 5-0, 2-0 in the conference. Florida 2-3, just beat Texas, knocked them out of the top 25 from the number 9 position. Florida needs this game bad. Florida needs this game bad. Billy Napier needs this game bad. This is not a memorable or an incredible game for Texas A&M. You see the Florida Gator symbol. You think of the Urban Meyer years. You even think of the Dan Mullen years. And if you're old enough, you obviously think of Steve Smurrier. This is not that team. And A&M's better than Texas. I just think that Marcel Reed is doing just enough of the right things, and his ability to run is unbelievable. He's thrown for 1,256 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, right? So you tell me why this guy would fall apart in this game. I don't see him falling apart in this game. I really don't, folks. I see him coming out there. I see Florida playing them very, very well. But I believe that Texas A&M pulls away in this game because there's just too much working for them. There's too much working in their favor, folks. Last game I'm going to preview. There's a lot of other games to play. South Carolina and LSU. LSU's a 9.5-point favorite. This is 7:45 on the SEC network. South Carolina comes into this game 3-2, 1-2 in the SEC. LSU 4-1, 1-1 in the SEC. And they're coming off of a bye. They lost to Ole Miss. Last year, this was a controversial game because there was some calls that went against South Carolina. Obviously, I'm no Gamecock. I'm, in fact, quite the opposite. I'm a Clemson Tiger fan. And the truth is that South Carolina was supposed to be much better this year, and everyone continued to overlook how many defensive players they lost off of that defense. Everyone talked about Sellers and Dylan Stewart, and I get it, but that defense had a lot of talented guys on it, a ton of talented guys. And Gamecock, Clemson Tiger or not, whatever, it matters when you lose that much talent. It does. And everyone overlooked it because they were looking at Lenora Sellers. Last time I checked, he doesn't play defense. Now, LSU, I'm not bought into them 100% at all. LSU is 4-1, but I don't see them as being this overly powerful football team. I had the question all season, what's going to happen when LSU has to play an offense that will not go into its shell? Well, we saw that with Ole Miss, and Ole Miss beat them with a backup quarterback who was playing D2 football last year. LSU is an 8.5-point favorite in this game. Last year was last year. This year, is yes this year. I see LSU taking this ball game. I see them beating South Carolina. I see actually maybe a little more hard-fought game than 8.5 points. I'm going to take the under on the 8.5. I see LSU beating them just because South Carolina's defense and their blocking, their offensive line is not blocking. And I just see, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to take the over with LSU over the 8.5 right now. So I see LSU winning the game. Well, folks, that's it. There's other games that are going on, but those are some of the games I wanted to highlight. Let me know in the comment section, what game are you watching this weekend? What game should I have mentioned? Let me know what you think the outcome will be there. Also, some of the games of the games I mentioned, where do you agree with me? Where do you disagree? Tell me why. I would love to hear it.